Little live button. We're live. Okay, everybody, we are here with Luke. Luke, what's your last name again?
Swafford.
Luke Swalford. Well, Luke and I have met each other when I go to his place of employment, when I go play get axe, even though I've never played an axe before, thrown an axe before. I go there for the beer, and we were sort of chatting about business and business development and my background in that, and he expressed an interest of wanting to maybe start his own business. So that's what this is sort of all about. So before we get started with some of the things you've already worked on, Luke, can you answer a couple questions for me?
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so, what about business made you decide that you want to start your own business? Have you always thought about that, or is that something new, or something happened in your life that you want to consider it?
Well, I don't. It's been, I don't know. I want to say at least several years now, but I've never taken any action on it.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I'm so tired of making somebody else money while I'm struggling all the time. And if I'm going to put in all this work towards something, I would rather it be something of my own that I get to benefit from.
So, have you been around people who've had their own businesses before? Or is this something that you're going to be doing all on your own without any necessary support from people who've done it before?
So, I mean, a long time ago, my dad had his own roofing company for years and years and years, but
Hmm.
he's definitely not up with like the current situations and things like that. So he's not really a good source for me to go talk to. I've
Hmm.
thought about asking Aaron, like the boss of GetAxe there, if he has some time for me to sit down with him and ask him some things because he's done it in a more modern and relevant setting.
Hmm.
But that's the only person that I've really thought of recently who would be a good source for me.
Okay. Well, you've got me now,
That's
and
true. Yeah.
I've been doing it since I had one job out of college, and then at 23, I quit that job, and I've been self-employed ever since, doing my own thing, and I really love it. I mean, it gives you a lot of flexibility in your schedule, a little flexibility with raising kids and having family. You don't have kids yet, but
No.
trust me, when you become successful at this, you'll be like, I'm thankful that I got started at such a
Oh,
young age. So anything
yeah.
I can do to help out with that, I'm going to be excited to do it. So I
No,
also
I'm
wanted to
very
say,
excited too.
well, I also wanted to say the reason I'm so excited about it is because I've been thinking about. I have a son with autism, as you know. You've met him several times, Luke.
Yeah.
And I have a concern as a parent. As like, okay, what happens to him when I'm gone and not able to provide for him any longer? So I
Mhm.
said, and I also didn't have a lot of confidence level um, in the government benefits. One of the things that we get or expected to get for our kids is government benefits to help provide for them when we're gone. But there's always attempts to cut that, and who knows what's going to be the future. And I don't want to have that be something that happens to him when I'm no longer here to take care of it. So
Yeah.
part of me wanted to start a new business, which is why we're going to be sort of doing it together. You're going to be creating your business. I'll be creating my business. We'll be sort of side by side and holding each other accountable for that.
Okay.
Um,
Cool.
but I really wanted to create a new business venture that created residual income stream that I could benefit from now that he could benefit from later when I'm gone so that it continues to grow without my absence in my absence. So that's sort of my driver here. I'm excited about it. So it's like starting all over again, and I sort of like that energy. Um, I would say, why do you want to do it? Give me the biggest reason why. What's going to get Luke up at 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, to go to bed at 1 in the morning? What's your why that you'd want to do it? Because I've really decided that it has to be something concrete that's like, I need this more than anything.
Well, I would say it would be the freedom to, like, not right now, but down the road to be able to live the way that I want to.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't want to be stuck here in the same town that I grew up in my whole life. Like,
Right.
I would like to move somewhere that I actually want to be and have time to pursue things that I enjoy. Um, because right now it seems like all my time is either, I mean, it's not all spent working, but the time that's not spent working, a lot of it is dedicated to work.
Hmm.
And I know that it's going to be the same way, like working with my own business, but at least that way I'll be seeing the benefits of it and able to make my own schedule at least and have the freedom to control my own destiny, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a big driver. I think when I first got started with my first business, the hardest part for me, and I'm just telling you now so that you can be thinking about that, When you're working
Hmm.
for yourself, there's no one knocking on your door saying you got to be there at 8 a.m., you got to work until 4, stuff like that. So it's very
Yeah.
easy to say, I'll do that tomorrow, I'll do that tomorrow. But if you can keep
Hmm.
in the back of the mind that you've got to be your worst, hardest taskmaster out there, meaning that no one's going to say, "Hey, Luke, did you get up?" Because they don't even know your schedule. They're seeing you sleep in. And you think, "Well, he
Right.
can do
Yeah.
that, right?" But I'm here to tell you that there's no one going to tell you to do it, and you have to find a way to work through that and power through that on your own in your own mind. And
Yeah.
how I've learned to do that is what I call a pomodoro. Have you heard that technique before? Pomodoros.
I Yeah, I think so, but I'm not super familiar.
Well, it helps me get started. If I'm struggling with something, I will say, all right, just get started on the activity for 15 minutes. So, whatever you're doing, stop
Okay.
what you're
Yeah.
doing and just say, put a timer on and say, I'm going to get started on this for 15 minutes. And you'll be surprised
Hmm.
that once that 15 minutes is up, you'll be like, let's keep going, let's keep going, let's keep going. So, you've got to do these little tricks and trades in your own mind sometimes early on because you're used to having
Yeah.
your own pattern of doing things. You got to break that pattern. Your old patterns is what got you where you're at now. You have to break new patterns to do something new. Does that sort of make sense?
Totally. Absolutely.
So that's one of the tools that I've used and I still use to this day. If I'm really struggling, I'll just say, all right, Keith, just focus on a few minutes and just do 15 minutes. And the next thing I know, I'm doing another 15 minutes. And then I'm in the rhythm, right?
Hmm.
But to break that cycle, it's hard. And the other thing I want to tell you, and maybe it doesn't come right away, because when I first started my business, I didn't take these. But later on, when I had more success, I realized that it's okay to take time off. Just,
Yeah.
I don't feel like friggin' working. I just want to go golfing with my son. I want to go out and have some beers, whatever. That's why you're doing it. You don't want to be working all the time. And I'm not
Exactly.
saying
Yeah.
you can do that when you first start, but I'm saying don't beat yourself up when you want to do that, right?
Yep.
Just enjoy your
Absolutely.
life because it's more to life than just working all the time, right?
100%.
No one lays on their deathbed saying, "I sure wish I would have worked more."
I wish that I would have worked more.
That doesn't happen. All right. Um, why do you think now's the right time to get started?
I think that there's a lot of changes happening in the world and a lot of opportunity out there,
Mhm.
especially for somebody like me who, because I feel like we're moving into more technology, and I've always had a passion for technology and a good understanding of it. And now that things are progressing more towards like that side of things, I feel like I have an opportunity to take advantage of it.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that's sort of my driver too. As we were talking the other day about artificial intelligence, is that
Yeah.
I saw, and I forgot the name of the report, but the weekly or monthly jobs report it came out last time is that 3,900 jobs got lost as a result of artificial intelligence.
Oh
And
my God, really?
yeah, that was just in that one month. That's the first month it's ever been reported. I
Yeah.
promise you, next month's going to be even higher. And the month
Yeah.
after that, and the month after that, and the month after that, it's going to be higher. So, as
Hmm.
I was telling my friend the other day, I said, you're either going to ride the wave of artificial intelligence or you're going to get crushed by it. It's
Yeah.
coming and whatever. So, part of me and what I'm trying to do is create businesses that can rely on artificial intelligence to help do some of the heavy lifting. I mean, you can do a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that way. I want to ride the wave, right?
Me too. Me too.
You're
Yeah. And
young, energetic, so
I have
um,
been playing with it little bits here and there over the last week or so.
uh-huh.
Just trying to write content and things like that and understand it better.
Mhm.
And it's been super cool. So I've been really enjoying it.
One of the things that I did that was helpful and might be helpful for you, because right now you're relatively new to it with
Hmm.
ChatGPT. I'm sure you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, I would ask ChatGPT. I have a hard time saying that 3 times fast.
Right. I know.
To tell you, say, write ChatGPT. Tell me what writing styles you are familiar with. And
Okay.
it'll list out like 30, 40 different writing styles. It'll say creative, conversational, academic, and on and on and on. It'll be helpful for you to know, like if you're trying to write in a particular language, how you tell ChatGPT to respond that way. You get better
Yeah.
and better, but that's something that took me probably 3 months before I realized, it'd be a good, you know, I don't want to say a good cheat sheet to know what it expects, how it expects to do it, because there's a difference if you say I want it conversational versus academic versus creative. right?
Yeah.
Versus dystopian or whatever your writing style you're looking for is. So
Hmm.
I think it'd be good sort of to do that little, ask that, have that little spreadsheet or whatever it puts out to you, and put it to a side so you know, okay, I want to write a creative story. So I don't want to say write a story. I want to say write a creative story about
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. It's really helpful in that way.
And it's like it's crazy how the keywords really make such a big difference whenever
Okay.
it's doing its response and like the way that you can fine tune everything.
Right. Well, prompting is the key, as far as I'm concerned, is that I spend more time designing. I mean, people, because ChatGPT can do a lot of creative stuff for you right away. But if you spend the time to create exactly what you're trying to say as you tell it, it'll be so much closer to what you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And
And
I like
then
that you can take like sections of it and just like alter that one section if you need to. You can say, hey, let's rework this. You can make it longer, shorter, change the vocabulary.
all of it. Change the writing style, as we just talked about.
Hmm.
So you can say,
Yeah.
hey, what would this look like academic? Or what would it look like talking to Gen Z or Gen Z or whatever? It was
Yeah.
just the power of that is something that people want to put their head in the sand on. I'm just telling you that shit is not going away.
And the other stuff that I've been looking into more too is like the art portion
Like
of
Mid
the
Journey and
AI.
stuff like that.
Yeah, and the way that people are utilizing that to like make businesses already.
Hmm.
Because I mean, there's already like, you know, people out there with website domains that are already locked in, and like there's ones that are close to them, so it's they're not the only ones who thought of it, and so it's like it's just growing so
It
fast.
is growing. Well, you know, I noticed that one of the things that you said, we're going to bounce around this 'cause in a second. You said that you
Okay.
wanted to create a business that was not web design. It was
Was it the clothing one?
yes, that you wanted to have something that was clothing that was you can create images for your own particular clothing, right?
Well, there's that. Like, just I think like something like that might at least be something good in the beginning. But I really think that that idea for the app would be cool. I need to research that further because I know that there's already apps that are like wardrobe ones, but
Hmm.
involving AI in it and getting that to where it could help you design your outfits and stuff. Like for people, I mean, there's plenty of people out there who I could see that marketing towards.
Have you tried Midjourney yet?
No.
All right. Well, next time I see you, I'll bring in my iPad so I can show you. I have an account with him, so I can show you how to
Oh, you
work with it.
do? Okay.
And it's the same thing. It's about prompting, right? And there's another one that I use. I think it's DID or it might be 11 Labs. No, DID is the DID slash ID is the artificial intelligence for if let's say you have an avatar, a person, a fake person up there, and you want that person to talk for you, move its mouth and move around like
Okay.
that. DID is that. But then I
Oh,
use 11 Labs to be the script. Let's say I want to use a female voice or a man's voice. I want it to be high pitched, low pitched, whatever. Or if I want to clone my own voice, I can do that. So
yeah.
that way you can take a script that ChatGTP creates for you, right?
Hmm.
And you can have 11 Labs put the voiceover on that, and then you can have DID talk it for you.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
a
and you
lot,
had mentioned that the other day when we were talking in person.
yeah, yeah, a lot of companies are moving to the fact of like you can give consistent training like that. So you can say, all right, this is what I exactly want to say. There's no faltering in the words. There's no ums and ahs. It's just perfect
Yeah.
language spoke like that. So it's pretty powerful. I mean, the images quality of the DID is not 100% there yet, but AI is moving so fast that I can just see
Yeah,
in a matter of time it's going to be right.
it
You
gets
won't
better
you
every
won't
day.
you won't know the difference. So I'm excited about that. So of the things that you've talked about, what is the ones for a business idea that's most promising to you?
Right now, I would say starting with the smaller ones that can provide passive income instead of active income.
Hmm.
Because I already have a full-time job, so it's like doing those things like with the camping trailers and stuff like that is probably lower on my priority list than something like this, which is digital, which I
Hmm.
can mess with whenever I'm at home after work and stuff like that and try
Hmm.
and grow and then have it potentially making money while I'm off at work making more money.
Right. Well, I can tell you from experience that there's nothing better than getting that email notification saying you have a sale. You have a
Hmm.
sale. Like when you're sleeping, you wake up, there's like, oh, I got 3 sales last night. I mean,
Right.
it's a pretty good thing to get that. And that's relatively easy to do. Are you talking like a print on demand kind of thing? Are you talking about?
Well, I did sign up for the Amazon merchandise thing the other day, but I guess it's a long application process, so we'll
uh
see if I get accepted or not.
The Amazon affiliates or something else?
Not the affiliates, the actual like merch one. So it's like the one where they'll do all the like you upload your designs and they'll put them on things and then
Hmm.
ship them off for you and all that. So it's not necessarily like something that's going to be a big money maker. Oh
Uh-huh.
no, I'm lagging out, huh?
No,
There
no,
you go.
you're fine.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily going to be a big money maker, but
Hmm.
it's a constant source and it's something that you put time into it once and then it
Hmm.
has the potential to make you money for the rest of your life.
Well, there is a lot
So
of other options out there for you too, not just Amazon. I would encourage you to look at Etsy, to look at
yeah.
other ones that you can just set up. And because if you design, if let's say you create a new design, a unique design on Midjourney that you're going to want to push out to other things, you could do it with
Yeah.
Amazon, you can do it with Etsy, you can do it with this, and then who knows where it's going to come from. So the more places you have out
Mhm.
there, it doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah, and I want to like I got to come up with a name, but I want to do a website.
Hold on,
Um
hold on. Who can help you come up with a name? Chat
well, there we
GPT.
go. Right there. Yeah. And I have been using it like to come up with some ideas, and I've written some down that I liked and like tweaked them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to at least start a website, whether I get traffic or not. Then at least I have my own little place on the web.
Mm-hmm.
And if I wanted to start selling things through my own website directly, then at least I have that opportunity as well, instead of just having to do it through like Amazon.
And not only that, you're starting to brand yourself. I mean, I don't know how many businesses I've seen out there who have like they're a real business and they have like send me an email at keith@gmail.com. You're not even
Yeah.
branding yourself, right? You need to have
No, you
it
don't
be
have
keith
your
at
own
your
domain.
domain.com, right? Well, they actually have their own
Yeah.
domain, but they're still just using their Gmail
Oh,
account.
just
I'm
using
like,
it. I mean, yeah. Even Aaron still uses Gmail for all the GetAct stuff.
I know, I saw it. I saw it. I actually signed up for his website just to see how he communicates. They actually do a pretty good job of staying in touch with you.
They
Um,
do. Yeah.
they do. So the one thing I would, if I were working with him, I'd be like, okay, so would it be helpful for GetAx to know of the 100 people who are responding, who get your emails, how many of them
Mhm.
open? Which ones don't open it? Okay, maybe put those aside. And the ones that do
Right.
open it, which of the buttons do they click? Wouldn't that be helpful?
Yeah.
Like this person clicked about this special, or this person clicked about that opportunity, or whatever they click on, because that tells you a lot about that person,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
What they're interested in, what they're not interested in, if they're even opening it, right? Because if you
Mhm.
send someone 10 emails and they don't open it, most likely they're never going to open it, right? You might want to
Yeah.
pair those guys off and focus on the ones who do.
And
Or
if you never open it, then chances are your email is going to automatically start detecting it as spam, and then you're never going to see it again.
exactly. And because one thing that we could set up for someone like Aaron would be like, okay, if someone opens an email and they do not come into the store, let's say they don't register, they don't sign up for something, then you could send an email say, hey, I know you're interested in it, because we know they're interested because they clicked the link, right?
Yeah.
All those things could be automated, just like with Amazon. If you go there and you put something in the shopping cart and you don't buy it, a couple days later, hey, did you forget this? Did you forget this? Did you forget this? And
Yeah.
everywhere you look, you got that thing. Hey, did you get this? Did you get this? Doesn't go care if you're on Facebook or on YouTube. They're popping up everywhere. And
Hmm.
there's a strategy about that. It's called retargeting, that
Yeah,
allows you to do that. So that's one thing I would do if I was working with him,
for sure.
to just sort of like help you segment your target market. And I would encourage you, when you're developing your business, to think about the end in the beginning, meaning that,
Yeah.
okay, I'm starting with zero, but what would I like my company to look like when I'm done? How would I like it to run? Do I want to be day to day involved? If not, then I need to set up systems and processes so it can sort of run itself. So you need to be thinking about that. And how I did that when I first got started was say, okay, my business is going to have these employee categories or these kinds of people. And I would
Okay.
go do that work and I would document what I was doing. I say, okay, I take calls. This is what I say. Here's the scripts that I develop here. And then I'd go up and be that person's supervisor. Okay, the supervisor of this kind of person would do X, Y, and Z. And I would document that until I got up to the CEO. Because now, when you bring in a new employee,
Hmm.
here's what you do, here's how you do it, right? And if
Yeah.
that person doesn't work out, new person, here's what here's what you do, here's how you do it. I know it works because I created it. It was a
Yeah.
very helpful way to document and to understand the natural flow of your business, right?
Okay.
I'm the best salesperson for my business because I'm the best salesperson. So it makes sense that I know that I create the materials that helps sell it, and then I put people into those systems, because then you're able to bring into the lowest common denominator that person. So you don't need a superstar salesperson. You just need a salesperson who can follow the script, right?
Yes,
It
absolutely.
makes it easier. And that allows Luke 10 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line to say, okay, I've got all these people in place who've got their scripts, they got their processes. I'm going to go boating for a year.
Hmm.
Call me once a month, tell me how much money I made, and send me my wire here. You can do all that if you set
Yeah.
it up right, which is why I say design your business with the end in mind. Think about what you want it to look like, because most people get in and get willy nilly. They're here and there, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're not really looking at their business intentionally to say,
Yeah.
okay, I want this to be successful. What does this person do? Document it so that when you're ready to hire that person, right? And I would suggest doing that on the areas of stuff that you don't like doing the most.
Yeah,
Like, right?
for
Because
sure.
you want somebody there as quick as possible.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? Right? So I always found that helpful. And the other thing, and I'm not saying you're there yet, but I just want you to be thinking about these little placeholders. There's certain things that Luke is going to do best that you really get a lot of pleasure and a lot of joy out of.
Yeah,
Focus on keeping that for yourself and sub out or have somebody else do everything else.
for sure.
As much as you can, allow that to happen. It'll be just more joyful, because I hate doing certain aspects of my business,
Hmm.
so I don't do them. I don't do them well. I don't like it. So I decided that I would hire people to do those kinds of things that I don't like, and it just makes sense for me. And one of the best things I did, and I'm just giving this as a placeholder as well, I hired this company called Ask Sunday. Have you heard of them?
I have not.
They are a virtual assistant. They're based in India,
Okay.
and I pay I think $100 a month. And I get like 10 hours worth of work, so it's not a ton
Okay.
of money. Um,
Yeah.
and I have them do crap I don't like. Like I made a copy. I created an email from ChatGTP. I created a series of 7 emails, and
Hmm.
I showed them by using the screen capture thing, screen recording thing. Here's how you create these emails in the system that I use. You add these other 7 in there.
Yeah.
They got done, took them 15 minutes, as opposed to me getting bogged down. And so all I got to do back later is come back in, make sure they didn't make any mistakes. But over
Hmm.
time, they get, they understand what you're doing,
Yeah.
and they start doing a better job than you. And this is what they do full time. You're a virtual assistant. So I think the biggest struggle is to be intentional about what you tell them to do. Because if you don't take the time to say, here's exactly how I want it done, then they may not do it that way. So you're spending time back and forth trying to fix that. So that's why I use the screen recorder. It's called hold on, let me see. I got it right here. I don't want to pop that. It is called. Well, I'll tell you later, but it's this app, and there's plenty of them out there, and most of them are free. I paid for the upgraded one because I didn't want to be limited by how many I can do. Give you an
Okay.
example. Let's say you want to send some information to tech support, and you don't
Hmm.
want to have to repeat everything or try to write down exactly what the problem is. You want to just show them. So you capture screen record with voice, and you do it, and it screen records what you're doing, so you can say, here's the problem I'm having, here's exactly where I'm having it, and you send that to them. How beautiful is that?
Yeah. Yeah. You were one. They always say that a picture is worth 1,000 words.
And a
So
video is worth a million.
exactly.
So I would definitely look into that. There's some free ones out there. The one I have is free unless you start using it a lot. I use it a lot, so for me to pay $9 a month, I was like, that saves me so much time of headache.
Oh
And I
yeah.
send that to anybody, and it's available to anybody to open. So anybody gets it, they can click it and see exactly what you're talking about.
Hmm.
So I will get you that name. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Um, all right, what else did I want to ask you? Another thing that I learned that would be helpful for you to be considering is, and I think it's probably the most powerful thing I've ever learned in my business concepts, is to never break a promise you make to yourself. Now
Yeah.
that seems easier than it is, because the promise you make to yourself is one that you make inside your head, right?
Hmm.
Nobody knows about it, so nobody knows if you break it, right? Because you just made it to yourself. Now think about the power of saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to make these 10 calls,
Yeah.
and you actually do it, or whatever the promise you make to yourself is. Nobody knows that you did it. So if you don't do it, the only person knows is yourself. So you're only
Hmm.
breaking your own commitment. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking that once you internalize that whole concept of never breaking a commitment you make to yourself, it becomes incredibly powerful. Because at that point, you say, I'm going to get up tomorrow at 6 o'clock, I'm going to go work out. And you do it. I'm going to call those 10 people. I'm going to write that letter. I'm going to make those calls. I'm going to, whatever it is that you say to yourself to do. Because how easy it to say something that you're going to do and not do it and nobody knows about it. It's easy,
Yeah. You don't lose face, nothing. But
right?
luckily,
Keep
I don't
that.
know. I feel like for myself, though,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm definitely one of my biggest critics, which I think
Right.
is a good thing
Yeah, it's a
because
good thing.
I am pretty hard on myself a lot of the time.
Well, don't beat yourself up too bad, but I'm
No,
saying,
but I mean, like, as far as just like trying to, because I especially am like somebody who wants to stay true to my word, like whenever it's told to somebody else.
mm-hmm.
And like, I try and do that for myself too. Like, and of course, it doesn't always work out. I definitely have my bad moments, but
Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Who doesn't? All right. I wanted to ask you a couple other questions, and then I'm going to
yeah.
give you some new homework assignments. So, have you
Okay.
completed the first part yet? I know you
The no,
gave
so I'm
me.
still working on like the entire list there. I have that whole first page dialed in for you.
Okay.
Um, and then yeah, I'm gonna start working through the rest of it this week here. I finally have. I've been working so much because Jake was on vacation and then got COVID before he came back.
Oh
So
no, is he okay?
yeah, he's fine. He's just not been at work. So I've been there for like yesterday was my seventh day in a row, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Today I finally am off, and then I'm gonna go drive up to Reno to look at a car because that's one of my other things that I need really badly is a vehicle right now. So
You're without a car, huh?
yeah, we're just using Elsie's car right now. So
That sort of sucks, but I'm sure you'll work it out.
yeah, oh yeah.
So, tell me about your angle from the Disneyland thing. I thought that was pretty interesting because I know you
So
guys go there all the time, but you were saying that
yeah,
this is how it would be different. Tell me about that.
so I know that it's something it's definitely done already, and it's super popular. Like I've looked that up plenty of times, like tips for Disneyland trips and things like that whenever we're going. But it's just at this point, like I've been so many times, and so I've seen a lot of different websites and how they represent certain information,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a lot of detailed information out there. It's more just like a generic, quick little like, oh well, you're gonna want to do this and this and this,
Mm-hmm.
utilize your time, but it never like goes into how to make that actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I've been a ton of times, and we have season passes, so we like to go a lot. And I've even wanted to like move down towards that area. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Go more, huh? Interesting.
yeah, honestly, like I love that environment, and I've always been interested in even like working with Disney and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a down the road thing.
Right.
But I think that doing a blog is nice because you get to write that information once, and then it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then I think you could do something that is active along with the passive in the way of having tailored plans or things like that for certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't even have to be like tailored exactly to that family, but you could have it for certain like age groups or
Mm-hmm.
demographics or things like that. And then maybe that gives you an opportunity to make that little bit of extra. And then as far as like products that I would recommend, could do the affiliate marketing,
Right.
which I know can be beneficial. So there's a lot of ways to tie in to profit,
Mm-hmm.
like different ways on that one avenue, I would say.
No, absolutely. Have you considered? I mean, I don't know that market, but I'm just thinking about ease of use. I mean, especially with Chat GPT, you could create
Mhm.
ebooks, you can create all this material, you can create your posts, all that kind of stuff pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Um,
and I actually did use Chat GPT pretty much like the day after we had been talking about it and started to write like an introduction for that blog and like the first blog post essentially.
hmm Well, it's interesting. You could, and I don't know if you've done this already, but it's what I would start with is okay. In my prompt to Chat GPT, I would say, hear all about it. And say it's a newsletter that's going to be geared towards this kind of person. It's all the information you can in that little chat. And then I
Hmm.
would say, create, give me 20 business name ideas for
Yeah.
something that would do this. That would give you a business name. Then maybe once you get that you feel good with, then start talking, then using that business name. So then it
Hmm.
will continue to build its material based upon that business name. You could have it do a slogan for that business name. You could have it create target market for those kind of people that it would be looking for. You could have it
Yeah.
create scripts for how to reach out to those people, what they would be looking for. You can have it tell you which keywords to use when you're doing your search engine optimization. When you're doing your post, you can include those kind of keywords. And so I would start with the beginning there to say, okay, what am I trying to do here?
Hmm.
And then, because you were saying I need some business names and all that kind of stuff. And then once you have a business name, before you settle onto it, I would encourage you to make sure it is available as a
Yes.
website URL, as
Yes.
a Twitter name, as a whatever it is, so you can make sure all the social media thing is nailed down.
Yeah.
Because there's
Because
nothing
that's the
worse
worst.
than having
That's the
something,
worst.
somebody grabbing your domain, like, wait, hold
Yeah.
on. Yeah, you're
Or you're
building
like,
things.
oh yeah, like you searched a couple things, but you didn't search all of them, and you're like, no, this is gonna be great. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh well, I checked social media, but I didn't check if it already had a website, and now I'm
Now you're sort
screwed.
of screwed. You're sort of screwed. Well, I mean, and you got to sort of decide for your target market also. Um, doesn't matter if you have this or that. I mean, maybe I should have a Pinterest name, but I'm not really on Pinterest, so I'm sort of saying if someone grabs that one on Pinterest, I guess it's not the end of the world for
Yeah,
me.
that one, I don't know. That one for me, I don't use super often. I know it is still popular, but it's never been my favorite.
But if you're going to deal with, as Disneyland, an example, the
That would
planners of
be,
most Disneyland trips are women.
and I definitely see like Pinterest links relating to Disneyland
Right.
all the time. So that is a valid point for sure.
So I'm saying you got to sort of, I mean, I don't know about TikTok, but I know the kids use it. So I've been reluctant to sort of use it because
Mhm.
most of the people I'm dealing with as it relates to special needs planning are usually be older. Right.
Yeah,
But I also got to thinking like, okay, I have a 22-year-old son or 23 now who is likely to be my autistic son's caregiver. So there's even a market talking to the younger people about what their future is going to look like and how to help them be more successful being a caregiver once I'm gone, so that my
yeah,
older son, is not like stuck like, what do I do now? What do I do
for
now?
sure.
Because right
Yeah.
now he's living his life. He's not paying attention because we handle it. But one day his mother and I are going to be gone, and it's going to be him. He's like, damn, my dad, he didn't do anything right.
He didn't do anything. You're like, actually, I was trying,
I was
but
trying. You were too busy doing whatever you're doing. So
hmm.
I just think that there's a huge opportunity for you in terms of that. So I would say for you and I is to continue what you were working on here,
Okay.
and complete it. It'll help you move forward. And then once you've identified, let's say, 3 to 5 viable business, I don't want you to limit yourself to just one for now. You can
Totally.
fine tune that later on to say, okay. And I would also encourage you to do like you were saying, is find some easier ways to make some quick monies, right? That you're
Yeah.
delivering
Yeah.
good
Get some
product
passive
content to
income.
people, passive income, so you can get those little successes. Because you can find out right away if it's going to be successful by just getting some traffic to see if it's viable. Is your Chat GTP title pulling people in, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what A/B testing is?
I know the term, but I couldn't
All
like
right.
define it
A/B
for you.
testing is when you test two things. Let's say
Mhm.
you want title one, title two, and you run 500 leads at both of them, and you see which one clicks better.
Just which one? Okay. Yeah.
All right. So this one's a better one than that one. So I'm not saying you do that now, but as you move forward, and you need to be thinking about those kinds of things in terms of, okay, I've got, if this title's doing better, and then you get into the email itself, let's say for example, which
Hmm.
one of these has a higher clicking ratio? So now you've nailed down the subject line is a better one. So now you get
Yeah.
to the email itself. Okay, which one is getting more people to click? Okay, so this subject line, this email is more click. Which one is generating more sales, right? So
Yeah.
it's your way to sort of put together analysis that is based on fact about which one's clicking more, which one's getting more clicks, which one's getting more sales, and so on and
Mhm.
so forth. That's how you design the business in the end. You don't think just here. You think, okay, I need to sort of look at the A/B testing. I need to do all that stuff. That's something I can help with you as you get to that point. Like that's sort of what I
Okay.
do, um, because I realize it makes your job a lot easier, right? If you know which subject lines
If you
pull
know, yeah,
better, you're not guessing, right?
100%.
And with ChatGPT, it gives you the ability to, all right, that didn't work. Let's try 10 more. Give me 10 more
Yeah.
ideas. Vroom, vroom, vroom. Isn't
Honestly,
it?
that's been one of the nicest things about ChatGPT for me because, like, I don't know, with like, I don't have like diagnosed ADHD, but I know I have it. And
Right,
so, like, trying to come up with names and stuff,
right,
I sit there and think so hard. And then it's like my brain just keeps going to other places.
right.
I'm like, ah, but so with ChatGPT, it comes up with some ideas for me. And then I'm able to focus on something that's already in front of me and then change it and make it my own and
Mhm.
better, like,
Right,
which I feel like is super handy.
right. Isn't it,
I
isn't it
really
powerful?
feel like the Chat GPT thing is going to be a game changer for me just because of like the little things that I'm going to be able to do with it like that.
And wait until you really grasp. I mean, one of the business ideas that if I were younger and had more interest in that at that point, there's going to be so many businesses out there who have no clue at all what they're doing. Like an Aaron, right?
Yeah, they're just going to get swept under the rug. Like not
Not
necessarily
not
that
like that
they're
one,
going to
but
die out, but they're going to get
further and
uh,
further behind.
exactly.
Further and further behind. I mean, because in theory, you could create a whole marketing campaign for Get Axe to
Yeah,
get people, and you could have it curated. You can do the A/B testing to see which one's pulling. I mean, so many things could be done relative to a
absolutely.
business. That's what I'm saying. That if I was so inclined, but I'm not because that's time intensive for me. I don't want to do that kind of work. I want residual. It, you create it, it just keeps rolling and rolling and
That's
rolling. Because
yes,
for
that
where
and
I'm
that's
at,
what
I
I'm
need that for
thinking.
my kids.
Hmm.
But if I was starting out, I was like, okay, that'd be a business. I can go to someone and say, hey, I can help you create a chat bot that helps you support this and supports that, and it's going to cost you $5,000, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's another aside. So let me go back to what I was saying. I would
Okay.
suggest you get like 5 to 7 business ideas, just general
Okay.
ideas that seem interesting to you. Dig a
Hmm.
little deeper within ChatGTP to get a little bit more research about what those are, who the target markets are,
Okay.
um, and and then we'll just sort of go from there. Because then we'll identify, okay, these are the 3 I want to focus on. You have a clearer picture why you want to focus on them, and then we'll start working on your marketing plan and your business plan so you can sort of
Okay.
evaluate, is this going to be viable, how do you look at those kinds of things. So when you're at that point, I'll send you some more materials to go through. It'll be just as detailed as what we did here, but you're
Okay.
doing the heavy lifting now to make it easier for you to get through it later. But
Yeah. No.
the key thing I told you is, don't look at just where you're at now, think about where you want to be in the end, because you
Hmm.
said you want freedom to go and travel. The only way you get that is you put people in place,
Yeah.
right, that allow you to travel. If
Absolutely.
you're always stuck, you're always stuck. You need to have the ability to let other people come in, and you can do that by
Hmm.
documenting what that position does, and then giving them material so they can be successful at that, and then bring in the people who would supervise that, and the people who supervise them, and then you're just the CEO traveling all over the place. I mean, that's a ideal scenario that you could do, and you could create that if you have the
Yeah.
imagination and think
And I
about
mean, I hate to like keep coming back to it, but I mean, look at Aaron. I mean, that's exactly what he just did. Like, and
it. Yeah,
he was able to move away to a different state
he's
and
not involved
put,
day to day anymore.
yeah, he put a couple of us in charge of it. And I mean, he made a good choice on who he chose for it, and
Right?
things are going well. So,
No, no, that's very very smart. So I'd like to get together with you maybe in a week again.
okay.
Is that okay? Does that give you time to sort of?
Yeah, that should be plenty of time because I'm off today, tomorrow, and the next day. So I have some time to actually like sit down and do some research and stuff.
Yeah, but don't feel like you can't reach out to me. So if you want to say, hey, what about
Okay.
this, Keith? What about that? Feel free, because I want you to be successful. I'm used to using ChatGPT, GPT, and these other tools, but if you stumble across something or whatever, the one thing is that if you're using ChatGPT regarding a business idea,
Yeah.
I would keep those separate, right?
Okay.
Like if you have
Yeah.
business A,
With
you have
separate
that
chats.
chat here,
Yes.
because otherwise it's gets sort of confused between all of them.
I usually end up like opening a new chat whenever I have any sort of new topic. Like if it
Right.
doesn't involve the stuff from the past one, I just switch over to a new one.
That's super helpful. You know, I wish ChatGPT would make it easier to search for stuff.
Yeah, it would be nice because I mean, it doesn't really show you like it lets you select the history, but it doesn't really show you what's inside of it until you pull it up and then it
Right.
retypes all of it.
Yeah, that and you know, I have stuff from 3 4 months ago, right? And I'm thinking, where is it? I found an app that allows you to do the searching, but it was so convoluted. It
Was
just
it?
wasn't working. I'm sure there's something out there. I haven't found it yet. So if you stumble across something that allows you to search through Chat GTP,
Okay.
GPT easier to be able to find it. Because right now I got to do a page search.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even thinking of just like starting my own logs for like once like I'm ending the day and then just copying, pasting everything and then putting it over into another document so that way it'd be easier for me to go back and search for stuff.
Yes.
But
Yeah, but
I don't
what do you do
know
when you got
exactly.
hundreds and hundreds of pages?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. And like, I don't know how I would want to like break it into categories or I don't know. So I still need
Well,
to.
you wouldn't. You would say Chat GPT do it.
Well, yeah, yes, yes, absolutely. Like, hey, I take all of our chat and break it into categories for me, and then yeah,
Yeah, I was telling you that I didn't read the book, but I've always been interested in the book by Marcus Aurelius. You know, from the Roman times, the
yes, yeah.
Roman general Marcus
Hmm.
Aurelius. He wrote a book called Meditations, and I said I don't want to read that because I have bad vision. It's hard for me to read stuff. So I said, Chad, write a book, detailed book summary about this book. I was like, wow. Within
Yes.
seconds, I understood what the book was all about. I knew the key points. I'm all
Hmm.
think about the power of that. That's what it's like to me. It's like I can do book summaries. I could sell those to people, right?
Yeah,
They don't know that they
absolutely.
can do this very easily.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it was funny too because like since we've been talking so much about ChatGPT, like the first time you emailed me,
Hmm.
like I typed my response to you and then I copied and pasted it over into ChatGPT and I was like, make this sound a little bit better. Make it a little
I
better.
didn't even notice.
Yep, I know.
That's pretty
It's like it
awesome.
works so good. So it's like most of it was my words, but I was like, yeah, if you can just like make this a little bit better, and then if there's any errors, fix them for me. And it's like, sick, yeah. And then I was like,
And
awesome, copy, paste, good to go.
well, you know, I've used that to like I write something, and here's another thing you can do with ChatGPT, which I found helpful. I had some writing samples of my own authentic writing before, and I said,
Yeah,
what is my writing style? So it took what I had and it said, this is your writing style. So I sort
yeah,
of knew how I wrote naturally, right? So I know if I wanted to give it my writing style, I'll say, write in the writing style of X. Um,
uh-huh.
or if I want to take something and say, I need it to be more urgent, right? It'll
Yeah,
use more urgency. Or I want you to make it more nuanced. I even used that recently. So it took
hmm,
what I was trying to say and it sort of toned it down a little bit. So it was a more of a nuanced kind of discussion. So it was really, really helpful. So as you
super
keep playing
cool.
around, you'll be like, sky's the limit, Luke. I'm kidding
Yeah.
you not. Sky's the limit in terms of what's available out there for this stuff.
Well, and that's why I'm so excited too. But it's like, I'm like, I want to start cracking on it because it's like there's people out there who are just as excited as I am out there doing stuff with it every day, and I'm like, every day that I don't get to mess with it and like try and further my own,
But Luke, here's what you
wants
could
and
do.
desires.
Here's what you could do. The beauty of it, you could, like, I had an idea the other day. I went from idea to web page design. I'll send you the link to the
Yeah.
website I created, to the website link I created to a whole 7 day action plan, which has the email sequences for people. I've
Hmm.
created an ebook that's based on. So you get this ebook for I think $7.77. It it once you sign up with that, it sends you this 7 day action plan, gives you all the materials and all the supplies, all of it created in less than a day.
That's
So
crazy.
I now have a ability to sell that. I was thinking that I may not sell it the first one because I'm trying to build my email list. Because right now I only have on this business I'm working on, I only have 35, 40 people signed up. So I
Okay.
might offer this ebook series for free so I can
Hmm.
get more people added to it. And so then I could offer what I was thinking about offering as the back end of that would be like a summary of the highlights for the week. So let's say we're all focused on this sort of this topic. We're all interested in this topic, and I know they all are interested in this one topic. I can go out and find the best 5 or 10 of these things I've seen for the week. Have ChatGPT summarize it for me, and I just send them a summarized summary newsletter once a week,
Yeah.
and I can get maybe a subscription from that. because
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay, pay me $10 a month. You get 4 newsletters a month that
Mm-hmm.
summarize that, so you have a place to go back and see what the hottest things are. Because in Twitter, if you don't use it, Twitter moves so fast. It's
Oh
very
my God.
easy to say, where did I see that, or how was that, or and you lose all that.
I know.
So
By the time
I
you're
find it
scrolling through
helpful.
your feed, it's
You can't
like if
find
it
it.
resets, then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, it's all gone.
It's all gone. It's all gone. So that really concerns me. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe I give them this for free so I can build up my list. So now I have hundreds of people on my list versus the 40 or 50 that are on there now.
Yeah,
And then say, okay, now that you're on this list, I'd like to let you know I have this summer. Just I'm thinking out loud with you as we think. So I'm thinking, okay,
totally. Yeah.
I don't want to ask them for money too soon because it'd be the first time. Like, hey, I know we've only known each other for, you know,
Right. Yeah. And that's a bad way to start a friendship, you know?
right.
Like,
Well, here's the thing, and I want you to remember this because I learned the hard way. And I want you to be, there's a fine line between offering value and turning the corner because once you start giving too
yeah.
much people value, they don't want to pay for it.
No, exactly. That's yeah. If it's free,
Right.
then that says something about it. So, like, you don't want to sell yourself short
Right.
and have it seem like, oh no, that's not important because it's free. It's like
Right.
even if it's a couple bucks, then it's minimal, but at least then it shows that it has value.
So maybe I should not do it for free. Maybe I should do for $2.99 or something like that.
Just do something cheap maybe. And if it doesn't work, then
But
try it for free if you have to, like just to get the more people in. But at
yeah,
least that
that's a
way.
good idea. I mean, is 777 you think too much? I like that number
So
because it's a
with the lucky sevens,
lucky seven.
yeah, for sure. I would say it doesn't hurt to
Hmm.
try it, like you don't know if you don't try it. So
All right, I'm gonna do it. So, Luke,
I
I'll
mean,
report back to you next time I see you. So, hey, man, I'm rich.
yeah,
See ya. We won't be having any more of these. I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
No, I was telling you that when I first got started, a guy named Scott Davis was my first business mentor. I'm not sure if he's still even around anymore. He was older at the time, but he
Hmm.
just took me in under his arms and he just said, "Here's how it's done." And I really learned a lot from him in terms of creating a business. And obviously, I had different mentors across the years. And I was telling you that as you grow your business, it's something you should really look forward to: is how you can help the next generations do the same thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
To pay it forward, I think that's really powerful. So for me, it's also a labor of love. I just love helping younger people realize their dreams because I started my first business at 23 years old, had no clue about nothing, made so many mistakes, hired
Yeah,
friends I couldn't fire, didn't get health insurance because I didn't think I needed it and lost vision and had a surgery with no, it was just endless mistakes. So
yeah.
don't do some of the things that Keith did to get started, but I'll
Well, and that's
help
why
you
it's
through
so
that.
nice to like it's so nice to be able to talk to you because it's like I don't have many people in my life who I can ask questions about things like this. Like I it's so much better to be like you can always do a Google search, but that turns up a lot of the same results and it's
Mm,
not necessarily answering your question in the
right.
specific way. So it's great to be able to have somebody who I can actually like just ask a random question to. Like, and I'm sure that I will be asking you once I try and find a domain like for my website and everything, like who you host through and things like that, just so I can get an idea
And
of
I'll send you the affiliate link too.
yes,
So
right,
I can make a
perfect.
buck here, a buck there. I mean, and just so you know, it never costs anybody any money. I mean, people think,
No, I
oh,
know, yeah,
you
yeah,
know how it is. It's just
I know
I
how
did it to
affiliate
you
links
because
work.
I do use certain people that I've been using for years, and there's a reason why. And the website people I use is so tremendous because once you get to that point, you're able to do online courses. So imagine
Yeah.
that you have a specialty or something you really know a lot about
Hmm.
and you want to create or have ChatGPT create a online course that covers, whatever your topic is. You can create a course, module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4. It'll collect the money for you. You can do your videos on it. You can do everything that you need to do all within this thing. And it also keeps track of, did they click on this email? Because imagine this: I send you a video. The video is 5 minutes long, let's say. At the
Yeah.
2 minute and 30-second mark, there is an offer to buy something. At 2 minute
Hmm.
and 30, it says, "Hey, Luke, you can buy this X, Y, and Z product for this price." So now you can add a tag to that person's contact saying that
Yeah.
that person has now seen that offer because if they made it to
Hmm.
2:30, they've seen the offer. but versus someone who dropped off at 2:10, he did not
Okay.
see the offer. So your email to the two of them would be different, right? One would be,
Yeah.
hey, I saw, Luke, that you saw this, or hey, Keith, I saw that you dropped out a little early, so I want to let you know about this special offer. That can all be
Mhm.
done
Maybe a
automatically within the
follow-up
system.
reach out.
You
Yeah.
you create it differently. You say, okay, if they meet this category, they get this tag. This tag will send out this series of emails. If they do not get this tag, they get this series of emails. I mean, there's so many more things you can do. You can say, did they click this link? Did they do this? Did they do that? Did they stay on the page for more than 10 seconds, right? That tells you
Mhm.
something. If someone just clicks there and goes away, there's something
Yeah.
called exit pop-ups. You know what those are?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you can integrate all that stuff in there. I mean, I've got a lot of people who signed up on my thing who were going away to exit, and I offer them a free book. Oh, all
Mhm.
right, I'll stop long enough to get this free
You're
book.
like,
All
"Oh,
right, now I got your
wait a
name.
second." S See, and then that's one of those situations where it is good to use something for free. And, like,
Mhm.
because it's they were already leaving, you were
Right,
already losing them
right.
potentially, and it's like, "Wait, like, hey, if you hang out for a second, I'll give you something for free." And
For
then it's
free.
like, "But really, now you're locked in because now I got you on my email
Well,
mailer
they can
and all this other
unsubscribe, and this person did, but I'm saying, but I got his email address,
Mhm.
and I know that it works. That's the hardest part. And are you familiar with Google Analytics and Google
Yes. Yeah.
the Facebook pixels and all those kinds of things?
Mhm.
Okay, that's something you definitely want to make sure you do. And the search engine, what is the search engine? I do need to. Keith needs to do that. I need to. I create so many different websites, Luke, that I sometimes forget to go in later and do all that little behind the scenes, add the
Like your
codes, add the
like your
tags, add the
SEO, your
search engine.
search engine optimization and stuff? Is that what you were
Yeah,
looking for?
yeah. Well, not
Yeah.
just that, but there's some code you're supposed to enter in so that Google search engine finds you, because it won't find you on its
Oh.
own. You got to do certain things so it knows to go crawl this page, and that
Mhm.
includes having a word a site map and all these things. So there's steps, and that's probably, I just said it to myself. I'm gonna have Ask Sunday do that shit for me. I'm gonna
Okay, yeah,
say
there you go.
I created this new website. Go do these 15 tasks. That's
Yes.
perfect for them. See, you helped me right there. I was like, because I struggle with it because I create so many websites. Like, oh, I got a great idea. Get this website, da, da, da. And then I'm like, all right. And I do the front end. I create the post and all that kind of stuff, which is helpful. But I
Mhm.
don't do the back end part, so no one's going to see it unless they see it from me advertising about it versus
Yeah.
finding it organically, which is where the power is at, right?
Mhm, absolutely.
That's it. I gotta do it the first time, document with my screen sharing thing, right? And then give it to Ask Sunday, and Ask Sunday can do it. All I gotta say is, here's a new website, do your thing. Ah, fuck, that's been worth it.
See, we're solving
we,
problems.
we are. I can't believe I hadn't thought about that before, but that
No, I
is,
mean, that sounds awesome because yeah, it's like that sounds like stuff that you definitely don't wanna do, and it sounds like it would be super easy for them to
I
just go and
don't
do.
want to do it. I hate doing it
Yeah,
because it's so mundane, but these guys are sitting in a place in India, and that is a challenge because sometimes the language barrier is a little off.
true. Yeah, true.
All right, I want to ask something totally off our topic because I'm curious
Okay.
about it.
Yeah.
Um, so you said that you're a strong advocate of gun, guns.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
What does
I
that
feel
what does that mean to you?
for me, like, it's not like I go out and, like, you know, lobby for it and things like that, but I just feel like guns are one of our biggest rights, like, as citizens, like, and I
Mhm.
feel like we need to keep them in people's hands so that the government doesn't get out of hand, like,
Mhm.
and the government's always, especially, like, with Biden, like, he's always coming after things
Mhm.
that he doesn't even know about, where he's like s I forget, like, some of the terms that he's used, but it's just, like, trying to take away pretty much just regular rifles and stuff and treating them like they're automatic like weapons, and it's like instead of us fighting the guns, maybe we should fight the things that are causing people to shoot people, like
Mhm.
and
Like
taking
mental
guns into
health.
people's hands doesn't stop the criminals from having guns in their hands. It just stops law-abiding citizens from having them. So
Well, how do you address all the shootings at schools? I mean, I don't care guns. I'm just worried about my kids getting shot up at a school. How do you
yeah, and I
address
mean,
that?
I definitely feel like because they've started doing it at certain schools where they have like an armed guard. I think that that is a good idea, but only one isn't really going to make a huge difference if it's only one. So I don't know if we need to, and maybe it doesn't even have to be guns, but maybe the teachers need to have things at their disposal to utilize to keep the kids safe instead of us just crossing our fingers that nobody's going to come in and do something like that, you know?
Hmm. Let's talk more about that because I feel pretty strong. I just like, I don't care about guns one way or the other. I mean, I'm not a strong advocate. I'm not a strong opponent to them. I'm just saying, I'm just so tired of hearing, you know, I saw these kids just terrified, just guns just blasting, especially in Uvalde. 22 people
Mhm.
got killed. The cops didn't even go in for over an hour,
Oh, I know. Yeah.
and 22 kids and two teachers died. I'm like, I personally don't know how I could live with myself if I knew that I was sitting out there safely while kids were getting shot. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. Right. And that's,
we'll talk more about that anyhow. But I'm just curious
yeah,
because when you
definitely.
said that, I go, okay, why are you that way? Especially as a young person, I know young people tend to be more interested in not necessarily guns or not, but just school safety, school violence, and stuff like that. Because you guys have been what through all that shit where you're getting sh- active shooter drill. I mean, good God. Can't
Yeah.
imagine being 5 and having to learn how to duck underneath a thing because someone
Right.
comes in to shoot you.
I don't think whenever I was in school that we did those. I think we did just our fire drills and stuff like that because I'm just a little bit older than that generation
Okay.
because I'm going to be 34 this year.
Okay, yeah, you were older than that, but still, that younger generation is like, good God. Um, I was just curious when you said that. I got to ask him about that because I
Oh,
like,
and it was so funny, like, because the question really made me think, and I was like, I don't know. I was like, I care about like my well-being and me making money and stuff. I was like, that's important to me. But I was like, but like, what about like? And I was like, no, that's something that definitely gets me heated because like I follow NRA on Instagram and stuff like that, and I always see so because they're always fighting for our rights and
mm.
like things are just constantly popping up about like, oh, here
So
they are trying to.
do you really think Democrats are trying to take away guns from people? Is that what you think?
I don't know if they're trying to fully take them away, but I could definitely see that being a possibility. Like, makes us easier to govern, you know? And I feel like, I don't know, I have a little bit of a bleak outlook on certain things like that. Like, I feel like we're just batteries for the system. Like, they give us enough to where we can survive and keep making them more money.
Right.
And so it's like, but if something happens to us, they don't care. They just throw another battery in our place. Like, and
That's an
so
interesting
that's why I said I was
battery.
like,
Good. That's that. I don't have an argument against that because I think there's a lot of truth. I think there's a lot of truth to that. No, I was just
so,
curious because you said that. I just because you heard Governor Newsom just recently said he wants the 28th Amendment. You heard about that?
yes, yes, I did. I did hear about that.
What do you think about that?
It's so I don't remember. Can you
It was
remind me?
there was four points. One is universal background checks, meaning everyone gets checked, right? Like
Yes,
can't give anybody a gun that has crazy people. So there's a universal background check everybody's got to follow through.
that
There
makes
is
sense.
there is move the age from 18 to 21. So if you're not
Okay,
able
that
to
one, I
drink,
that was the one that I was heated about. I was like, that's. I was like,
so
so you're gonna keep shipping people off at 18 to go fight wars, but they can't even own a gun. Like,
I sort of agree that. But his argument was they can't drink, right? So why do they own an AR-15? That's his point.
I'm like,
So so that
if
that's
that's
the
the way
second
that
point.
yeah, I'm like, if
And
that's the way that he feels, then it should change other things too, though. It's like, if you think that somebody shouldn't have something because they're not even old enough to drink, then maybe they shouldn't be old enough to go off and fight in our wars. Like,
yeah,
you know,
I'm cool with that too. But they like them young and dumb. Go like, hey, you're
I know.
18,
Yeah,
charge that
no,
thing.
absolutely.
What was the third? There was that one. There was and a mandatory waiting period. So you can't walk into a gun shop and get a gun that day. You have to wait like 7 days, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, and so like those ones all make sense to me. I totally like I'm all for gun safety and like making sure that guns don't get into the wrong people's hands.
Hmm.
But like I don't think that just because somebody's 18 that they're the wrong person. Like there's people who have grown up around guns since the time they were little kids and by the time that they're 18 they are better like suited to be around a weapon than half the people I know, you know? Like
But what about people who don't have that experience, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Most of the shooters of these big things are almost always 18 to 20 something years old, right? They're
Hmm.
relatively young. Whatever got them all like that, they just started going in and shooting. Or, in Florida, for example, there is no background check, there's no safety training, there's no education. Just as long as you're 18, walk down the street and come out with a gun in 5 seconds. As long as you got the
Yeah.
money. I think it's increased in Texas and Florida. The gun shootings have been going up. People getting shot, knocking on the fucking wrong door. Right?
Hmm.
The guy came to pick up his younger brother and sister. The old guy got scared inside and shot him through the door.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I know.
yeah, it's
And so that's, yeah, and it's like you bring up points like that, and it definitely makes it to where it's not so easy to just say like, yeah, no, like I think that's wrong, like because those are all valid points.
that's all we're trying to have is that dialogue, and there is the perception that Democrats are always trying to take guns because that's what people are always telling, but that's not the truth. I
Hmm.
would admit that they do want to get rid of the AR-15s.
I know, which is so that's the other thing for me that I don't necessarily understand because I'm like I understand that it's customizable in a tactical way, but any gun is, and it's no different than any other rifle. It's no different than a 22, except for the caliber might be different.
Well, then why do you
Uh,
think they use it primarily for all the gun shootings? If there's no
I think
difference.
it's, I think that it's literally just the tactical, like, and the stereotype around it. Like that's the gun that everybody goes for. Like
Mhm,
if it was a different part of the world, it would probably be the AK-47. Like if it was across the pond,
mhm.
uh, but that's the one that is sold the most because it's the best one to utilize. Like it's so customizable, especially for like a hunter or things like that. Like
A
you can
hunter?
put
What do you
somebody.
need that gun for?
Well, like I said, it's not a huge caliber. It's literally just a regular rifle. It just has a bad reputation and it looks like it's mean, but it's going to shoot the same as, if you had one that looked old school and if it was a 22 caliber, like 22 is a small one, but ultimately they're the same gun. It's just is the look of it and the customization that you can do for it.
Interesting, interesting. Well, I just think it's interesting that Gavin Newsom decided he was going to try to put. He said it's going to take a while to go. I would totally support that one. I mean, because like I said, I'm not a big gun enthusiast one way. I'm just saying, what do I got to do to? Because eventually that shit's going to happen in Rockland. Some
Yeah.
batshit person's going to go to Whitney High School and just start shooting up everybody, and then it's going to affect us and an individual. Oh, I knew that person's brother, or I used to coach that kid, his family, and oh my god, I feel terrible. So I'm
I
thinking,
mean, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why constitutional carry and like concealed carry is important is because, like I said, keeping guns out of good people's hands doesn't keep them out of criminals' hands. Like a criminal is going to find a gun, whether it's legal or not. Like I could go probably drive to SAC and get a gun if I tried hard enough, like from somebody.
well, how do you
But
argue then that why can't they go get a bazooka?
well, I mean, you probably
Why
could,
not get a
honestly, but it would be much more difficult. But
right?
those are like there's you can get, and especially like I've never gone on the dark web,
Mhm.
but the things that you can find on the dark web is crazy.
That's my point. So because it's so easy to get, you can go to Big Five or whatever and get an AR-15.
Hmm.
I think that's the argument people are saying is that it's so easy for people to get that they go out and get it. They outlaw bazookas, but that's a little too much, right? The Second Amendment
Yeah.
doesn't really support that or tanks. Why not be able to get a tank, right? Just
Well, and I would say the other thing, the reason that you don't see more bazookas is probably because they would be hella expensive compared to a gun. Like a gun is pretty cheap to make and to buy,
mhm,
whereas like building a rocket propelled explosive is an expensive thing on its own. Like the gun itself is probably cheap,
mhm.
but I can only imagine what it would cost to buy like an actual missile that you would shoot from a bazooka.
Would it be helpful? I'm just talking out loud. This is interesting to me.
Yeah,
Would it be
totally.
helpful to say, okay, you can have your AR-15s, but each bullet costs $15?
Maybe, honestly. I mean, it's,
Then you got
but
to really decide.
I think that the best way to, I don't know. So, like, I don't want to just say it outright, like, and hate the way that I'm saying it, but I feel like more guns in people's hands would stop a lot of the gun related crime that happens. Like if
Do you really believe that?
I do, because like for me personally, like I wouldn't want to talk shit to somebody knowing that there's a possibility that they have a gun on them. Like, and if like in a criminal's perspective, like, would you want to walk into a place with a gun knowing that half the people in there could be ready to shoot your ass? Like,
Yeah,
if you
but
walk into a place
Texas has
knowing that,
more guns than everybody, and it's not safer.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know. And see, that's the two sides of it. Like, I am one of those people that thinks that like more people should have guns. Like, and but it's not for everybody.
I can see the whole issue is going to come up to a head because the movement is definitely growing to do something with it. And my concern is that it's going to be overreaction. Like the moms demand things, they're not fucking around. They are not
Yeah,
fucking around. They're organizing and they are voting out people and voting in people. So it's not going to
yeah,
be something right away. I think it'd be a lot better if people had common ground. Like you just conceded that you'd be okay with the background checks and a few other things. We're like, oh, okay, then let's implement those.
yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And then so you had a problem with the 18 to 21. Okay, we leave that one out. You have a problem with the AR-15 banning for now. Okay, we'll leave that out. So those two issues we came to terms on in a few minutes. So
Yeah,
why
and
can't we implement those?
because like yeah, I do want things to be better. I want them to be safer, and like those two that that we mentioned, like those are completely reasonable ones. And it's not even like the that you have to be 21 to buy a gun that I hate. It's the fact that the crossover of like, oh, you're 18 and
Go
you
to
can do
war.
stuff, but you can't even smoke a cigarette now that you're 18. You can't buy a gun.
Well, you
It's
can't
like,
smoke a
but
cigarette.
you can do all this stuff. Like,
Uh-huh.
so like that's the
You
thing.
can't drink. I mean that's crazy. You go to war,
Yeah.
but you can't drink.
Hmm.
But there's a reason they say you can't drink because the history shows that younger people are more inclined to get in accidents. Which then why are you
And
making 18-year-olds go to war, right? Because they're
exactly.
easily charge that hill.
Goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you talking. I wanted to ask you about that because like I said I don't have strong feelings. My only issue is that I want to have had that discussion before it actually comes here because it's only a matter of friggin' time before some nut job at loses it and starts shooting up one of the schools, and my kids
Yeah.
go to these schools. So I'm like, fuck. So anyhow, sorry for rambling on like that for so much.
No, I don't mind at all. It's good conversation, and it like makes me think about things that, I don't necessarily think about all the time. It's like you ask me and I'm like, yeah, I know that those things frustrate me, but do I really know why they frustrate me? And so,
All right, I got to go pick up my son. We're gonna go play some tennis.
all right,
Enjoyed
sounds
chat with
good.
you. So the game plan for you is to think through without limiting yourself. Give us 5 to 7 business kinds of ideas that you think would be interesting. Do some research further about it, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good. Wish me luck. I'm gonna start my drive to Reno in a little bit here, and
Excellent, excellent.
I'll be back later and I'll start working on that stuff.
Are you looking to buy a car today?
Yeah, I found a Forerunner online yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a screaming deal, and it's low miles, and those are like really hard to find right now. And that's
Mm-hmm.
like the vehicle that I actually want to be in. So I was like, all right, well, called them yesterday. They said it's in stock, and then I'm able to come in. So I made an appointment for 3 o'clock, and I'm gonna head up there.
All right. So use ChatGPT. Unless you're a
Hmm.
big car, do you know a lot about cars?
Not, I mean, I know a decent amount. Like I know I have my scanner I'm going to bring with me. I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to read all the codes and stuff. I'm going to crawl under it because one of my biggest things too is, especially coming from Reno, is going to
Rust.
be the rust. Yeah.
All right.
So
Well, why don't
so
you do
I'm
this with ChatGPT? Just say, this car, what are the main problems with it? What do people look for? If I'm looking to buy a used car, what kinds of questions should I ask to make sure I know? Just run with
okay.
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
It'd be
for
so
sure.
helpful. It'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
you'd be like, look, super informed. What about this? What about that? What about this? It can't
No,
hurt, right?
absolutely. Yeah, I'm down. And like I'm totally excited about trying like all sorts of things with ChatGPT. So that sounds like a great idea.
Awesome. All right, my man, I got to run. We'll talk soon.
All right, sounds good, Keith. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right, bye.
Take care.